we made a brand called Conscious Living for You, so it's kind of like something we just did as a husband and wife type thing, because we're both interested in the same stuff.
The way the focus is mind and body and spiritual health, just helping people live a healthier life in all aspects, not just, be physically healthy, but also mentally healthy. And that's part of what this program is about, is to give some techniques and some pointers of how you can have a healthier mental state and, learn how to relax, learn how to get rid of stress.
Need that.
Focus, yeah.
We all need
Everybody
that.
has stress.
We all need that.
It's just a matter of levels. Everybody
Yeah.
has different stress levels, and it's a matter of how you manage it and how you approach it.
So that's kind of about that, but just briefly about us, because we want to make this more about you. We have activities for you planned today. It's not just us, sitting up here talking. That's, you don't learn from that. But just to give you a brief background, so I'm Loretta DeStefano-Micarelli. So I started as an MST in the state of New Jersey, where I was a CNA basically, and I had gone, I would work in hospitals, and then I became a registered nurse with a BSN in the state of New Jersey. So I'm currently a nurse at Virtual Hospital, and then I became a yoga instructor because I just fell in love with the regime. It's just a beautiful practice, physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. It fills all those needs for me. So I also went to a school, so I have over 50 hours right now, but I'm going into like a teacher training program, which is like national, for up to like 200, 500 hours. So I'm kind of dabbling into like a whole bunch of different stuff right now. So I teach at different locations. And that's my background, and my husband's background.
And besides going to a lot of her yoga classes,
Yeah.
getting the benefit of having a
He might
yoga
force that
instructor.
first to go, but
No, we were doing yoga before she became a teacher. She
Yeah.
actually introduced me to it, and I had always, tried to, work out and live pretty healthy. But she helped me take it on a level. So now that she's a yoga instructor, it's great because I get to, take some classes a few times a week, and I'm in the best shape of my life. And I tell people that all the time. It's like, it's not just a spiritual discipline and mental discipline. It's really, a lot of the yoga that you see is physical. There's those other aspects that are a big part of it, but obviously it's physicality. It's the idea of becoming healthier, becoming stronger, more flexible, and I try to help her with this brand by using my design skills. I'm a graphic designer and a creative professional, so I try to be her marketing person and try to do all the things as far as web design and doing her promotions online and just spreading the word to people and giving them visuals of what we do. So we try to work together and help people in our respective ways.
Yep. So we'll get started. So this slideshow was made for the parent group here to help them to alleviate stress and to bring mindfulness into their life. But it's not just for parents, it's really for anybody. It's for employees, teachers, directors, whoever. It's for anybody who is just in our society who's overwhelmed with the everyday stress that we kind of go through. So the first slide we're going to take you to is breath. And the reason why I actually made a slide on breath is because in the yoga practice, the breath is actually the basis of the practice. So we breathe every day, right? We don't take notice to the breath. We just breathe involuntarily because we have to, our body needs it. But when we start to focus on why we actually need it and how to breathe properly, we can actually instill calmness, mindfulness, and also physiological change in the body. It actually changes the biochemistry in the body, which is a science. And it's not that breath itself is nourishment, it's that it catalyzes nourishment. So we need nourishment from the outside source in our body. We need nourishment from the environment, from food, but breath actually catalyzes it. Because once you bring the oxygen into the body, the oxygen is exchanged in the cell to create energy. So if we weren't breathing and had breath in our lungs, we actually would not be able to live. We wouldn't metabolize and we wouldn't have nourishment to grow in the body. So your cells, your body is made of many cells. I think it's around 100 trillion. And the cell is a very complex thing, even though there's so many of them in our body. We just look like this human body here, but there's so many cells. The science is very important because there's three major parts of the cell that I just want you guys to focus on instead of getting involved in all this other science. It's basically your cell membrane, your cytoplasm, and your nucleus. So your cell membrane is the outside layer of the cell, and that is cell's protecting layer, but it's also permeable. So you have stuff coming into the cell, but you also have the cell pushing stuff out as well. The nucleus, the reason why I kind of wanted to focus on that is because it's the main kind of area of the cell that functions that helps the cell to be what the cell is. And then the cytoplasm is that little kind of like jelly-like stuff that all this stuff is sitting into. And all of these areas need breath for nourishment. So they're going to require this. So these nutrients, again, are converted from the energy that's catalyzed by the breath. So if you didn't breathe, you would not have energy. You can go on to the next one. Thank you. So in yoga is based, first of all, yoga is an ancient practice that's over 5,000 years old. So there's a lot of words that are in Sanskrit, and a lot of people, when they come to yoga, they get a little freaked out by the Sanskrit because they don't understand it. But in English terms, it's really quite simple. I can break it down. You have what's called your prana and apna. So prana is your life force, and it's broken down. Why they call this your life force is because it's connected to the breath. They knew that the breath was connected to energy within the body and to nutrient conversion. So pra just means before, an means to breathe or to blow. So prana just means energy because you need to breathe and to blow it out, to live. Apna, which kind of reminds me of sleep apnea. Now I'm a nurse, so that's why I always think of like medical terms. When I think of apnea, I kind of think of you're exchanging out, right? So when you breathe in, you need that oxygen, but then when you breathe out, you're breathing out CO2, right? That's the apnea part where you're eliminating, taking that waste out of the body. So when we breathe, we're exchanging, right? All this stuff's happening inside our body. We breathe out, we're getting rid of the waste. You actually lose weight that way too. I don't know if people realize that.
Oh, let's keep doing it, Kim.
I meant to tell you guys. I was like floored when I heard that. I was like, no, just by breathing. So you know how like when you work out like a dog or you do these weight loss things and you go, where the hell did the weight go? Where did it go? You actually breathe it out, right?
Because O2 is what you're breathing in, the oxygen, and then you're breathing out CO2, so it has that carbon attached to the oxygen. So every time you breathe out, that carbon is being expelled. You're actually expelling elements.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So how crazy is that? Because did you ever wonder where it goes? You're like, where the hell did the weight go? It just left?
I mean, part of it, yeah, is...
Right?
I've been wondering that in a couple months.
Yeah, you guys are going to be all breathing now at work. Like Loretta said, breathe. I'm losing weight. So that's basically what I was kind of trying to get across with the prana and the apnea is that it's just waste, nutrients in, that's how I like to think of it, waste out. Let me go next one. Thank you. So, pranayama. Pranayama just means, back to our word prana, energy coming into the body. So in yoga, we really focus, you might hear your instructor say pranayama or yogic breath, right? That's the one I always learn from, is yogic breath. And you're like, what does that mean? Just breathing. But it's actually a breath that comes from the abdomen down here. So my husband's going to take you through an activity with breathing. He's going to teach you where it's going to be, because a lot of us breathe very shallow. We breathe from up here, right? And we breathe, like, you know, when you're at work or you're going through a situation and you can actually feel yourself kind of get that, like, feeling, that overwhelming feeling, almost like a doom. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. Or just panic where you're like, I can't think, I can't deal. That's because you're actually not breathing. Like, people don't realize that, but when you actually slow down and say, all right, what am I doing? All right, I'm back, I know what I'm doing. And as a nurse, I can't tell you how many times I feel like panicked because I have a patient that has an emergency, or I have a patient that needs me, but then I have this other patient who doesn't really need me, but thinks they need me, so they're calling out for me, and it's just like you're kind of compelled to, you feel crazy, you know what I mean? But when you actually just sit down for a moment and say, all right, I know what I'm doing. That's because you're able to actually exchange air and you're not hyperventilating. Because when you're breathing shallow, you're hyperventilating. You're not, or hypo actually, you're not getting the proper waste out of the body. So that's just something I want you to just remember, is that you want to breathe from down here, which is called your yogic breath, your abdomen, your lower abdomen. So in our country, right, we think of eliminating waste. When we think of waste, we think of, you know, eliminating waste, right? Urinating, defecating, like down here, pushing down. I don't know if you've ever heard of like the heck is that word? Kind of like how Elvis passed away. I know that's such a bad example, but he actually like cut off his circulation because he was like using the bathroom. They said when he passed away, and that happens to a lot of people. They straight get a heart attack because you're actually pushing down, right, on this area here. So when we breathe, we actually pull the air back up and out. So that's how I want you to think of breathing. Instead of this way, where we're pushing down, like we're having a baby pushing out, we're actually gonna bring the air up and out, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like an Eastern way, how they teach. And if you, I mean, you can research this stuff. This is all science, this is all researchable stuff online, you know, where they teach you actually how to breathe from the bottom, because it creates higher metabolism, better immunity. It also creates physiological effects where the body's actually moving, so you're actually working that lower pelvic floor too. So all this area, especially for women, sorry, babe, especially for women, this area, right? This is an important area to us. Our reproductive organs are here. Our bladder, right? We want to keep all that stuff tight and strong as we age. So, since we're all women, I figured I'll let you know about that. So again, we are not squeezing and pushing down. We're letting it come up and out. So this is called your diaphragmatic breath or belly breath in yoga. So let's take our right hand, if you don't mind, please, to the bottom half here and the left hand up top here. And let's just take a moment to breathe in. And you can choose to breathe through the nostrils, which is how we normally breathe in yoga, or you can breathe through the mouth, whatever you're comfortable with. We're gonna breathe in. And I just want you to take notice, where did you feel the fill? Does anybody, where did you guys feel your fill? Did you feel it down there? So you're a diaphragmatic breather already. Did anybody feel it in the chest? Right? Try it down here, but filling the balloon, filling the abdomen like a balloon. Ready? Push that little belly out, that's your diaphragm. Now bring it in. Push it back. You see what I'm saying?
It's keeping the lungs almost still.
Keeping the lungs almost still. The lungs are actually going like this in the body, but we'll get to that. So when we breathe later with Paul, he's gonna take you there in a couple minutes. He'll teach you a little bit more about that too. Thank you. So what's happening to us as we breathe, right? The body is changing shape. So I like science a lot. I'm big on science. Because to me, if I don't understand something, I don't really want to do it, right? I need to know what's happening to me. You have many cavities in the body, but I'm only going to discuss the two cavities. I'm going to discuss your torso, which is two cavities. You have a thoracic area. You have your abdominal area. So these are very important vital areas of your body, because up top you have your two most vital organs. You have your heart and your lungs. You cannot live without either one of them, or the brain, of course. Down here is all your abdomen muscles. There's a lot of like abdominal fat, things like that, on purpose to protect those organs, but there's many vital organs there. Your liver, your pancreas, your intestines. I'm not going to go through all of them, but a lot of them are protected here. So with these two cavities, when you're breathing, they're actually moving they're actually moving. They're like muscles. So these cavities are protected by a muscle that's breathing in and out like an accordion. That's how I like to think of it. So when you breathe in, you have this diaphragm that's right here in the middle. This part's actually lifting up, and this part's actually coming down slightly, right? And then when we empty out, like an accordion, it's the opposite way. So it's kind of like that push. I don't know if that showed it or not. Yeah, it shows it here. So it's showing you the contracting and the relaxing, right? So you're actually exercising when you breathe like this. This is an actual exercise. And not only is it an exercise, but it's creating circulation in the organs to the outside of the organ. It's creating lymphatic circulation and circulation to your bloodstream, which is really important for elimination and fighting disease and like cancers and stuff too. So there's motility when you breathe, and there's movement when you breathe. So the next slide, my husband's going to take over for this one. He's going to take you guys through a little activity. So I'll let him.
And although I am a Star Wars fan, I did not make the slide. She made it. Because the breath that it's talking about is the Ujjayi breath, which is in yoga, this deep rhythmic breathing that she was just describing. So the interesting thing about breathing that Loretta had just touched on is that it's one of the few things that's both involuntary and voluntary. Like if you're not thinking about it, you're just breathing. You don't have to think about it. But you can take control of it and control the breathing. So the interesting thing about that is that it's a gateway to self-mastery, where you can take that ability to control your breath, and that's why it's the basis of most, if not all, meditative traditions, because the breath is that gateway, that pathway to controlling your body, your mind, and really having like complete self-control and self-awareness. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to take what Loretta kind of just, briefly had you guys practice, and just go through like a cycle, so you can really feel, how the body changes as you, do the cycle of breathing. So if you want to, you can do the same thing that she suggests, put your hand here and a hand up here, kind of, just to make sure you're doing the belly breath. And what we're going to do, we're going to do about 10 breaths, and I'll guide you through it. We're going to do 10 of these deep Ujjayi breaths. It's the victorious breath because you're breathing powerfully, you're breathing confidently, and again, it's about control, it's about self-awareness. And we're going to do about 10 regular deep breaths, and then we're going to do maybe like 3 to 4 where we hold on the in and out breath. And then we're going to do a couple more of the regular breaths. We're going to do a cycle of this just again so you can kind of feel how you can use this practice and bring yourself to a calm place and relieve stress when you're feeling overwhelmed or anxious. So we'll start breathing through the nose and out the nose. We'll do deep inhale through the nose, fill up the belly, and out. Another in, out, and you can make them audible. And keep going at your own pace. In. You can close your eyes slightly if you want. Out. And it's almost like the ocean. Feel it going in and out, and make it audible so you can hear it.
That will happen. That
You're
will
going to
happen.
clear out. You're going to clear your lungs out. We're doing about 4 more.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Coughing and like sneezing, laughing too sometimes, just to be honest with you guys, is normal because you're moving energy in your body. So sometimes people do laugh. It's like a reaction to your energy is kind of like opening up a little bit. So it's nothing to be.
So let's do about 3 more and keep, focus on the breath coming in and out.
Another good way to release stress is laughing.
Yeah, that's why I need to be here.
Yeah, you do. Everyone does. It's interesting because I have people in the middle of my yoga class will just bust out laughing. Some people cry, and I'm like, right, that's okay. But it just kind of moves energy through the body in different ways that you're not used to.
So hopefully we're still breathing these deep breaths. We're going to do 1 more inhale and 1 more exhale. And on the exhale, just hold it for like 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3, and then inhale. Fill it up and then hold again. 1, 2, 3, and exhale. All the way and hold. 1, 2, 3, then 1 more inhale. Big inhale, hold. 1, 2, 3, and exhale. We're going to do a couple more of these deep breaths. Exhale. And you can release your hands and go back to breathing normally, and hopefully you feel that oxygen exchange and feel a little more relaxed. And this is something you can go back to anytime. You can be sitting in your desk, be in your car traffic, when you're stuck in traffic and ready to curse people out, when people are getting on your nerves. Like Loretta said, you just take that moment and just even do a couple. You'll notice that deep breath will completely change your mentality and take that anxiety right out.
It's interesting too because most of the time when you hear your own breath, it's odd. Like for me, that was the hardest part for me. I was not able to breathe out loud in yoga class. I really wasn't. I was like, I just feel weird. But now it just comes natural. Now I just do it and it comes natural, and it's okay to hear your own breath. It's kind of like how you hear your own voice sometimes and you're like, oh, is that what I sound like? Like on tape or something, you kind of get over that. Then you kind of get over it with the breath too. So.
And we
in some of her classes, I feel like I do that pretty badly, but
You do,
some,
yeah.
some of the women in your class,
Yeah, they sound
It's
like
like-
our fair. Yeah.
I was like, whoa, they're like,
Yeah.
it's really loud, so.
Like,
They're not
wow.
afraid to, do those deep,
Yeah.
loud audible breaths.
Like, what do you
And
got
obviously, if
going
you're sitting
on?
at your desk,
Mhm.
coworkers, you're not gonna, be doing it that loud, but, if you're by yourself, like, again, in your car or at home, trying to get to sleep or whatever, you do those. And they call it the ocean breath, 'cause it sounds like the waves of the ocean, in and out.
The back of your
time.
throat. So after we learn how to breathe and connect that to the science of our body, connect that to how to calm the mind physiologically, how to get, proper gas exchange. Now I'm gonna kind of go into stress itself. And I wanted to put this slide in because I really wanted you to, all of us really, not just you guys, to really understand that stress is a major problem in our country. I'm not trying to be biased or anything. I do work with a lot of doctors. You will not hear doctors tell you that stress causes diseases. I've never heard one say it. I think some people don't think it affects them. They think stress is normal. It's not. The thing is, I'll go back a little bit on what I said. Stress is normal to an extent. So for instance, if you might need that stress in your life to catalyze you to do something, right? Like you kind of need that a little bit, that push. That's okay. That fear, that's good. But when it's long term, when it's chronic, when it's all the time, that's not good. And that's the kind of state that we live in our society, most of us anyway. I think people are becoming a little more aware consciously, because there's resources unlimited to us now. But I just want you guys to understand that stress and the effects of stress are serious and they are long-term effects. So you have short-term stress, which is, a situational stress. Maybe you've had a loss. Maybe people that have been at war, that's a stress that continues on with them. Post-traumatic stress, that's a major problem also in our country with a lot of vets that are not being treated properly. Then there's that stress that's like, everyday grind, right? Waking up to an alarm every day, getting in your car every day, going to work, having to be there on time, having to deal with traffic, depending on where you live. I don't know where you guys live, but I know we live near 295 and it's disgusting, like Cherry Hill area. We want to talk about stress. I don't even know how people drive that every day. It's unreal to me. Getting your kids somewhere on time, getting your life in order, making sure dinner's on the table. Like these are all things that people don't realize are chronic stress. Maybe paying your bills, having a house, you know what I mean? Like it just whatever, trying to keep physically fit. These are all stress. So this is chronic stress. This is routine stress. And anytime when I say chronic, I mean you've had it for more than 6 months and above. So this is years on end of stress, maybe even. There's there's acute, like I said, acute stress, like a car accident or something like that. Something that's normal for you to react in a stressful way with that adrenaline, that's called your fight or flight, that is normal. So with your fight or flight, that kind of burst of, if you're in a dark alley, you're walking and you get this weird feeling, that's a good stress, right? Because it might be a feeling to get the hell out of there because someone's coming behind the corner with a knife or something like that. That's actually normal. But to have the normal stress all the time and not even have symptoms from it is chronic stress. So there are a lot of hormones that are released in the body from stress. I'm just going to name a few of them. There's cortisol, there's catecholamines, vasopressin growth hormones, there's prolactin, and there's insulin, okay, caused by stress. So when these are released in the body, that's what gives your body this signal that something is not right. That the issue with chronic stress is the body keeps releasing those hormones. The body's systems don't respond to them anymore. So the body's systems actually don't work normally. They actually stop working at a normal level because you're releasing these hormones in your bloodstream at all times. And that's why we have a lot of illnesses in our country. Am I on the right one? Oh yes, so here's some of the effects here. So it suppresses immunity to have chronic stress. It suppresses digestion. It interferes with sleep. I know a lot of us think that sleeping 4 hours a night is normal. It's not normal. Or waking up, I shouldn't say it's not normal. It's not good for the body. And your reproductive system, mostly digestion. And if you go to the next slide, please. Thank you. I wanted to focus on mostly digestion because a lot of people in our country have reflux, acid reflux, or GERD. You guys ever heard of GERD? So as a nurse, I'm going to tell you right now, I have anywhere from 4 to 6 patients nightly because I work third shift. Every single one of them is on the protonics. Every single one of them. I give out 4 to 5 protonics a night when I'm on shift, and that's 5 out of my 6 patients.
What is that?
Acid
It's like
reflux,
No,
so,
no, protonic, like a
It's
drug.
acid,
Yeah.
it's like
Tums.
anti-acid type tablets, only
Okay.
Nexium.
stronger dose, right?
Mhm.
yep, all of them. And it's funny because I'll ask them, a lot of elderly, and I'll say to them, what are you on this for? I don't know, the doctor prescribed it. Going back to the stress thing, you know, it also, it does a lot of other things to the metabolism too. It decreases metabolism, that's why a lot of people I think too suffer from diabetes as well. Not just eating, I mean, I think eating is related to it for sure. I think it has a lot to do with the stress hormones that are released in the blood as well. So, stress, you might not feel stressed out. Like right now you guys are sitting here and you look calm, you're relaxed, you know. But when you leave here and you have to go home and get in the car and, you know, do the normal things that you do every day, you might not know that stress is affecting your body because it's not like something in your body says, oh my God, I'm stressed. Sometimes we do. But there are signs and symptoms that people actually become used to. So chronic headaches, sleeplessness, sometimes people feel sad for no reason at all. I mean, how many people in this country are on Prozac? Everybody, right?
There's a lot.
I mean, I was for 10 years, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I was, before I started taking care of myself, honestly. Me being prone to anger, irritability, I mean, we're women, so we kind of go up and down with that anyway, being irritable, but I think being angry, you know, like if you're just angry for more than you should be, it means it's not good for you, it's not good for your loved ones. And prone to, I really wanted to make sure I really gave this guys to you really good, is the viral infections and common colds. So, but sometimes the signs are not always noticeable, and that's kind of why I just really want you guys to know that relieving your stress is important. So, you go next bucket. Thank you. What can happen if we have chronic stress and we don't take care of ourselves and we don't relieve it somehow through physical elements or spiritual, mental, whatever? You can have long-term effects, health issues. So, I'm going to get you guys engaged a little bit. Heart disease and diabetes. Does anybody like feel the need to just say something about that? Does that stick out to you at all? Heart disease and diabetes?
They're the two major problems in this world. Anxiety, I believe.
Yeah.
Doctors just push pills for that.
Exactly. I work with
That's why
guys and I
people are
know
hooked
what
on
they
them.
do. Yeah. I'm just going to be, thank you so much. You're the first person that really answered that right on the nail. So heart disease is #1 illnesses in the country. Not only is it #1 illness in the country, it's #1 death in the country. Okay? #2 is cancer. I'm skipping around a little bit. #7 is diabetes. And the reason why I want to discuss it is because almost everybody is diabetic. If they're not diabetic, they're pre-diabetic. And they blame it on just food. And yeah, it is a lot of food, yes, but maybe there's other elements though that we're not really diving into. You know what I mean? Illnesses, all illnesses are actually linked to stress, depression, and anxiety. And again, just because you don't have the symptoms doesn't mean they don't exist. Some people are asymptomatic. Okay, babe, you can go to the next one. So I am going to try to make this brief because we have another exercise for you guys. So now that we know how to breathe, we understand what the breath does, we understand what stress is, what stress does, how it can take effect on us, how do we treat it, right? So the first one I put up there, and I'm going to be honest, I am an over-user of coffee. Straight up. I love it. Love the taste. Love that it's warm. Love that I feel like I'm energetic from it, and then I plump out after it, and I still keep drinking. Working third shift has also made me drink it more. Are you using substances to fulfill that need of relieving stress? Some people drink on the weekends. I have a lot of friends my age, still at my age, that cannot wait for the weekend. They want to drink on the weekend. They cannot wait. They have kids. They're like, I can't wait Friday night. I'm not going to drink. I'm like, hey man, I don't know. Maybe you should relieve your stress other ways. I mean, I do the same thing. Like we all do. I feel like I can't wait to have wine with my friends. You know? Are we easily angered, irritable, like just flying off the handle type irritable? And do we have low energy? I know I feel low energy a lot, like a lot. You know, just from not relieving my stress from going to work and not really taking the time for myself to sit down, maybe read a book. You know what I mean? I'm always keeping myself busy. That's why I'm here with you guys to help us all together. And then how to reduce it, right? So American's recommendation says you only have to exercise 30 minutes a day, that's it. So most people go every day. I don't have time for that. That's the biggest one thing I hear all the time from my patients. I don't have time for that. 30 minutes out of your day is less than 2% of your day. It's nothing. And I'm not even saying that to be rude. I mean, even for me, it's nothing. If you walk your dog, that's 30 minutes. You can briskly walk your dog. take the kids for a bike ride, take the kids in the stroller. Maybe your significant other, a friend, you can take a walk after dinner when it's not 10 below out, right? Or whatever. Something that's active at home. I always tell people you can do on-demand. I'm not a big on-demand person when it comes to exercise. I go to like gyms and stuff with my friends, but like if you can just do 30 minutes at home, peace and quiet to yourself, even a small routine with weights or anything like that. And it's only every day or 5 days is fine, 5 days a week. Something cardiovascular. Take time to relax. You deserve it. Get away from the kids, get away from the job, get away from the cell phones, like really get away from the cell phones, shut them off, put them in the other room, throw them at the window for like 30 minutes, take a bath, read a book, do something that's nice for you. Set goals, right? Short-term goals, long-term goals. Even if you don't reach the long-term goals right away, still have them there. I like to write things out. I'm going to show you in a little bit. I have like an actual board where I write my goals out and I try to achieve them. I try to focus on them because it helps you to feel accomplished. It also reduces that stress of like, I need to get this done. I need to get that done. And then stay connected to yourself. This is why I'm here today mostly. We want you to stay connected to yourself. Love yourself. Stay connected to what you need, what your body needs, what's important to you. If it's through religion, if it's through spirituality, if it's through your, love and connection to yourself. I put meditation on there as an example and crafts with friends. I think that's a great way to deal with stress is to have parties where your friends actually do like painting parties or I do a lot of yoga parties, like Thai yoga with my friend Robbie. We do massage and Thai and yin yoga together. So that seems to be like a cool thing. And yoga, I suggest you, obviously. Yeah, that is biased. That was biased of me to say that. So Paul's going to actually take you through the next activity for you guys. So you'll take them on to the meditation?
Yeah, so...
You guys are going to love this one. I love this one.
So we are going to do another exercise. This one is a mindfulness exercise.
I think I shut the lights for this one. No?
No, it's okay.
You sure?
Okay,
All right.
yeah. And what I'm going to have you guys do is, I want to kind of explain what I'm going to do first, but you can either take your towel and use it as a pillow. And like that.
You can lie down on your back if
sit up.
you're not afraid to lie on the floor. That's
But
totally
let me
up
kind
to
of
you.
just describe what we're talking about through mindfulness. As we have up here, mindfulness is the mental state achieved by one's awareness of the present moment while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations used as a therapeutic technique. So what that really means, it's very simple. It's just self-awareness. It's just paying attention to your body, to your mind, your thoughts, and what's going on there. And what I'm going to have you guys do is what's called a body scan. And we're really just going to kind of go up through the body and just pay attention to the different parts of the body and work our way up. And the interesting thing about, the mind and consciousness is that we think, we're always in our head. And they call it the monkey mind. It's always, we're always thinking, like talking in our head about what we got to do and, thinking about what we have to do next, what happened yesterday. And the interesting thing about consciousness is it can be like a beacon, in the body. It can be almost like a lighthouse. If you imagine, a lighthouse shining a light, we can get out of our head and actually, if you have something, if you hurt your foot, you feel that pain in your foot, your consciousness is, focused on that, on your foot and on that pain. If you're getting a massage, you're feeling, somebody where you're getting touched. Your mind goes to that place on your body that you're getting that sensation, that input. So what we're going to do is kind of go through the body and show how our consciousness, we can move around the body. So it's up to you guys whether you want to take your towel and use it as a pillow.
If you want to use the towel, I don't know if you guys really want to lay on the ground or if you just want to sit. But if you need
start to relax here. As I said, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of guide you to relax each part of your body, work your way from your, not from your head, from your toes. We're going to go from your toes to your head. So the first place we're going to start is your feet. And we're just going to kind of pay attention. If you're wearing shoes, just feel the shoes on your feet. If you're not, just feel your feet, your heels against the floor, and just kind of let them sink in. You don't have to flex or move. Just kind of feel. Just feel the bottoms of your feet touching the ground. Feel that pressure. Just focus on that for a second. And just let them relax and just melt kind of into the floor. Now we're going to kind of move up to the calves. You're all laying down so you can feel your calves touching the floor also. Just let them melt too. Just let the bottom of your calf melt into the floor. Just focus on the back of the calf for a second. Feel that touching the ground. And now we're going to move to the thighs. We're going to feel the bottom of your thigh that's touching the ground also. We're just, as we're moving up, feeling that contact and focusing on each part of the body, feeling it contacting the floor and just letting it relax, letting it melt. And each part of the body as we go up relaxes into the next one. Next, we're going to go to our lower back and just feel the lower back. Let that, any kind of tension, any kind of tightness you have, just breathe out. Let it sink in. Let's take this moment, now that we're into our torso here, let's do another one of those belly breaths. Take a deep breath in, the belly expand through the nose, breathe out. Let it all go. We're going to do one more, one deep breath in. Belly expand and let it go out. Keep that deep breath going, even as you're focusing on the other parts of the body. Keep that rhythmic, that jahi breath that we talked about, that ocean breath. Keep it going, even as you're concentrating on the other aspects of the body. Now feel the hands, and just let the hands relax, loosen them up, just let them kind of flop, touching the ground. And then you'll feel your forearms, any kind of tension, let loose. Just let everything just kind of let go. Into the upper arms, your biceps, and your triceps are the ones actually, the muscles actually touching the ground. Just feel that contact in your bottom of your arm. Just feel how it touches the floor as you're relaxing. Feel it melting into the floor. And then we're going to move into the upper back, the shoulder blades. They're pressed down into the ground, and just let that melt, relax. We have a lot of tension that we hold in our shoulders, in our upper back, and our lower back. Take a deep breath and let it out, and just melt that all down into the floor. Let it go. Feel the shoulders now, and your shoulders going into your neck, and push, kind of let the shoulders fall back into the ground. You feel some tension in your shoulders and your lower neck. Breathe it out again. Let it go, and just let those shoulders kind of melt back into the floor. And your neck also. Any tension you may feel, let it go. Into your jaw and your mouth. You might not even know, but maybe your jaw's clenched. Maybe your tongue is pressed up against your roof of your mouth. Feel that and relax it. Let your tongue kind of relax. Let your jaw even maybe drop open a little bit. Breathe in through your nose and let it out through your mouth. Feel your brow and your eyes. Your eyebrows are scrunched up. Or you feel any kind of tension in your brow. Let it go. Maybe raise your eyebrows a little bit and relax them. And then to the back of the head, just feel the back of the head touching the towel or the ground. This is going to be your last point of focus. Just feeling that contact. As we notice that consciousness, that attention went all through the body, took focus on each of those parts of the body, and showed how, again, the consciousness is like a beacon. We can direct it to relax different parts of the body, to relax the whole body. And this is a practice that you can do when you're lying in bed, when you're laying on the couch, just trying to relax. You do this body scan, it'll actually help you go to sleep. Loretta, she does that. She actually does a body scan to help her get to sleep. So we're going to feel the overall relaxation of the body right now. And we're going to take one more deep inhale. One big exhale. And let all the stress from the day go. Whenever you're ready, you can sit back up.
Take your time coming up. Might feel a little more relaxed. So that's actually a branch of what they call yoga nidra. I mean, there's so many branches of yoga. It's not just about the physical. You know, you can actually go to a class and meditate and lay down. It's pretty cool. But this last slide is just going to wrap everything up. So we've learned about breath. We've learned about stress, what it can do to the body if it's not controlled. And we've also learned how to recognize it, reduce it, and how to maybe possibly find a bit of calmness, mindfulness, and relaxation in our lives, maybe even meditation. I think it's important too that I discuss that meditation is also prayer, and prayer is meditation. So if you are more of a prayer person, that's what you get into. Prayer is the same thing. Prayer brings, you know, stillness, peace to the mind and to the person. So why, how, when, and where can I use all these techniques? So I think it's so important to know that right now in this moment, we are existing here. This is pretty much the only moment we have right now, right? The past, I like to think of, we're on a timeline. The past has already happened. You can't go back there. Most of us live in the past, and that's why we become depressed and sad, because we think of what we had or what was there. We have the future, which we don't know anything about, but we're trying to get there. And a lot of us have these goals to get there, and it brings anxiety. So depression is the past, anxiety is the future. The present moment is all we have right now at this very moment. So why worry about those two elements when we have now? And now is the best time to live and to continue on. And that's where you can take this practice right now at this moment. So basically we do it to calm the mind, we do it to relieve the stress. I had talked that earlier. And there's something in yoga that I want to discuss called grounding. So the time you had taken the class, I don't know where you took it or who taught it, but usually when you start the beginning class, you're in that seated position, just how you are, and you ground. You come into that, they call it seated position, and you breathe. That's just grounding. Grounding just means concentrating for a moment on nothing but the breath and letting that breath go, the pranayama, and coming inward, which is called pratyahara, but you know, that's all stuff you guys can learn some other time. And just focusing on you for a moment and just living, existing in this one moment. You can do that anywhere. I do it at work. I do it in the car. We do it a lot at my house because that's how we want to live. So our environment is created around relieving stress and living in a relaxation environment. Having an intention. So an intention, a life goal, and affirmation, right? So when you have, in yoga, we set an intention. So they'll come into prayer in yoga. And just for a moment, we'll breathe, we'll close our eyes, and I'll have my clients think of something, a goal maybe, or an intention they want to serve. And some people want to serve an intention at that very moment where they want to be better at their practice, or they want to serve themselves for relaxation at that moment. Some people, I ask them to set a goal and envision it. See what you want out of your life. So this is a little personal, but it's all good. This is my affirmation board. I'm using it as an example for you guys. It's sloppy. It's literally from CVS, okay? It was like 25 cents for the board. You know what I'm talking about, the styrofoam. It's like, it's been beat up. It's been moved twice from home to home. Yeah, it's been in the back of my car. This is my affirmation board. So I'm just sharing this piece with you guys, which is obviously personal because I want you to know that this stuff works. I'm giving you my testimony that it works. So when you create a board as such, people are probably like, what do you do with this thing, right? You don't just sit in front of it all day and stare at it and go, I want this to happen to me and pray and meditate on it. That's not how it works. It works by just being somewhere where you're going to see it every single day, right? Mine's right in my bed, so I'm forced to see it when I wake up every day. I don't even think I'm looking at it anymore. It just is there, but you are looking at it. So there's a branch of science too, which is a whole nother class. Again, you know, I'm not going to go nuts about it. It's neuroplasticity. Has anybody ever heard of that before? Or anything with the neurons and neurology? Anybody study that? I don't know if you guys. It's really interesting. I would really recommend looking it up. It really changed my life. When you look at something like this, you start to manifest these things in your life because your brain actually finds the pattern to create it. And this is the law of attraction. Some people, I don't know if you've read The Secret or read about The Secret. I'm not saying you need to go buy The Secret. I'm not saying you need to do any of that stuff, but you do have to believe in the fact that the brain finds pattern. So everything on this board so far for me has happened. The only thing that hasn't happened, I don't know if you can see it up there, is the 2 people with the baby. I haven't had a baby yet, obviously, but we just did get married just in July, so we technically aren't ready. But I have that up because I'm setting myself up for it, but I'm personally not ready for that, right? So that's another thing I wanted to touch base on is when you affirm what you want out of your life, you have to really want it and actually believe it, it's real to you. Because you can just all day long be like, I want to do this, I want to do that, and never do it, right? Like, we all do that. We say, this is never gonna happen, right? Because I'm never gonna do it. But you really have to feel like it's already real to you. You have to really envision it. So it's the same thing as prayer. When you pray, you're asking for something, but some people don't receive, and they always say, well, it's not my time to receive, but maybe, you're not ready to receive, maybe the universe doesn't think you're ready or whatever, but you have to kind of confirm, keep affirming it and keep it kind of going in your life,
How long have you been married?
6 months.
Since July.
6 months, wow.
Yeah.
We've been together for 4 or 5 years.
A long
Oh,
time.
good.
Yeah, we've been together, and then
And we were friends for
like 10
many
years.
years.
Yeah, I'm in the friend zone. But that kind of concludes our, presentation. I hope that we have helped, or planted a seed at least. If anybody ever wants to contact either one of us, we have some information that we're going to send you home with. I do private yoga lessons. I come to the home. And I also go to anywhere you'd ask me to go, really. If you wanted to meet up somewhere, or if you wanted to try out a studio, I'd be happy to serve you guys. But I just hope that you're going to serve yourself with this information too. Thank you for being here. It's an honor.
Thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate it. It gives you a